Question 8. Simplify 3a, add 7b, subtract a, add 4b. Even on a calculator paper, you are still expected to maintain some knowledge that doesn't require a calculator, and algebra is a great example of this. When gathering terms together, you're trying to find things which are the same. To simplify it, we don't want to have to keep repeating the same letter all the way through. So in this case, we'll start at the beginning. We have 3a. Now we can't add 7b because it's a completely different letter. So we jump to the next calculation which says subtract a. Because we're dealing with a again, we can put these two together, which is called gathering terms, and allow us to simplify the expression. 3a subtract a would leave us with only 2a's. We can now move to the b's, for this is all we have left. This question tells us to add 7b and then add another 4b. So altogether, 7b add 4b is the same as adding 11b altogether. Each part of this should give us a mark, giving us 2 marks in total. Question 8b asks us to expand an algebraic expression. Expand will always be used when we have brackets involved. To expand a bracket, what we're looking to do is to multiply everything inside the bracket by the number outside the bracket here. There are a lot of different methods for this, and a lot of the time I'll promote using a grid method. It's a really efficient way of doing multiplication of any format, but for algebra it works beautifully for keeping things organised and making sure that you don't forget anything. When we're multiplying, we know that everything must be multiplied by 4. So the number 4 goes to the left hand side, and then everything that should be inside the bracket goes at the top. In this case we have 2d and 5, creating a row or a grid where everything can be multiplied together. 4 multiplied by 2d, because these column and row headings match. 4 times 2d, well 4 times 2 is 8, so that means I must have 8d altogether. Next we come across to this cell over here which has 5 at the top. 4 is the heading, so 4 multiplied by 5, which is 20. Now this isn't enough to give us our 2 marks quite yet, because the final answer would be these two values added together, so it's 8d with an add symbol between them, 20. Be careful not to forget to do this step, but also that you cannot combine letters with numbers on their own. The final question, 8c, asks us to factorise 15x add 18y. Once again, a grid method can become really useful here, because to factorise is to do the opposite of part B and take the answer and put brackets back in. If it's a single bracket, just a simple table like this with the answer 15x and 18y put into the answer section this time. What we're looking for is something that we can multiply by something else to give us both of these values. We're looking for a common factor, which is why it's called factorizing. Start with the numbers, see if there's a common factor or number that you can divide both of these by. What goes into 15 and 18? It must be a whole number, so we know it can't be 2 because the first number is odd. But 3 fits in well to both of them, and is in fact the only number apart from 1 which will go into both of them. You want to find the biggest number possible. When factorising, you have to take out everything you can. So 3 is a common factor. Next, have a look at the letters. Is there a common letter between the two sections? In this case, x and y have nothing in common, so we know then that 3 must be outside the brackets. The next stage then is to work out what do we multiply 3 by to get this value, and what do we multiply 3 by to get this value. 3 times what is 15? Well, 3 times 5 would give us 15, but don't forget the x, so that must be 5x. For this next section here, we've got 3 times something is 18. Well, 3 goes into 18 6 times, but don't forget the y. Once again, when you're writing this down, do not forget that these two values should be added together. x and y cannot be added to simplify them, but they can be simplified with a plus symbol between them. So whatever number's here is outside my brackets. We have 5x and 6y inside the bracket. Double check by making sure there's no more common factors between 5 and 6, which there cannot be. And then just quickly, in your head if you can, multiply out the bracket. 3 times 5x is 15x, 3 times 6y is 18y, just to check to see if you have the original statement. And there you get your final 5th mark for question 8.